But you see, the problem that he's addressing is an interesting one. It is because we have not focused on policy. And he was talking about this issue of when people get angry, when politicians are taking advantage of their taxes and all of that. This issue about presidential motorcade. There are videos circulating today berating John Mahama's motorcade over the last 8 months. If you watch those videos and you watch Akufo-Addo's motorcade, it looks the same. You can go back to Kufuor, it looks the same. The conversation is the same. Why don't we come out as people? And we may be failing the young people he's talking about. Maybe it is this generation that has failed them since 2008 because we have refused to delineate on paper what a politician can do and what a politician cannot do. Every ill that you can say about the history of NDC, you may find the same about MPP. It is true that NDC won the last elections, and it will not be the last election that NDC ever wins. But it's also true that NDC have lost elections arbitrarily and abysmally before. It is true that free SHS was a policy that was touted by the Akufo-Addo government. But it's not just free SHS. There was STEM education, there was ICT kindergarten, there was 80 educational projects opened one day, there was fees for all public schools, BEC, absorbed by the government for the first time. There was 3,000 education infrastructure projects completed. STEM was introduced to this country by Akufo-Addo. It's for the young people. They are benefiting from it. There were 300 science laboratories instituted across Ghana. In sports, there were 3 AstroTurfs in 2016. By the time Akufo-Addo was leaving, it's 150. There were 300 ambulances nationwide put across. There was free TVET, which was novel, never happened. There were several model STEM schools built, Abomosu STEM School, Penkaso STEM School, Dabiaso STEM School. STEM. Ghana leads in STEM because of Akufo-Addo's vision. There was Agenda 111, which was supposed to have 111 hospitals. It ended up having less than 10% of it, but it was a project started. There was upgrading of police and security services. There were 3 helicopters to the police. Today we are hearing that they were bought old, etc., etc. There were restoration of trainee fee allowances, which President Mahama is continuing. There was free dialysis, sickle cell and childhood, which President Mahama is continuing under Mahama Care. There was 1 district, 1 factory. These are the things that have to be done, that every government can say these are the things that we have done to move forward. But importantly, so that we don't take advantage of each other in a way that another one can take advantage 8 years' time. Because it will happen. President Mahama became president in January. By March, he traveled somewhere and then you see the video. Somebody standing, somebody standing, say, Shwe Mahama cars. And he's counting and it is there. Just coming from the same election where we campaigned that somebody was doing it because we have refused to delineate certain things. When the budget for the Jubilee House was issued and they said media and communication is 78 million, then NDC said the MPP's own was more. MPP said NDC's own is more. Why can't Parliament have a decision-making system that says that this is the president's convoy? Every president will have this convoy. But because if we keep on taking advantage and there's no delineation of what has to be done and what should not be done, and that is a failure of this generation, especially the politicians since 2004, 2008. We talk about, Kwadwo makes a point about Ghana Airways and how we lost Ghana Airways. The Ghana Airways problem is something that started under something called DIC, he knows it, Diversity Implementation Committee. The Rawlings government felt that there were too many state-owned enterprises that were not performing. It is true that Kwame Nkrumah set up Ghana Airways. Sometime in the 80s, Kwesi Botwe read the budget. And the whole Ghana was shocked to know that Ghana Airways tickets were being subsidized by the Ministry of Finance. That if individuals buy tickets on Ghana Airways, it was being subsidized. It was good for the 1960s to give the Ghanaians the exposure that we need. But it was irrelevant in the 1980s. And that was saddling the government of Ghana with so much debt owed to Ghana Airways. So that process began, the deconstruction of Ghana Airways as an entity that was not properly managed in the financial sense, began in the Rawlings era, and it came to Kufuor's era, and he took the decision that we have to perhaps change it into Ghana International Airline, blah, 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 blah. Mistakes could have been made. But these are things that you can't put on one political party or the other. That's a point I'm making, that it is very, very important that we begin to set out these things. Otherwise, in 2008, we say Kufuor is a villain. In 2023, we say he's a hero. Same Kufuor. He didn't do anything after 2008. It is the same set of facts that delivered him in an equation as a villain in 2008, same set of facts delivers Kufuor in 2024 as a hero, not by MPP, but by NDC. The NDC that said that Kufuor was a villain with the same set of facts of Kufuor's administration, came back in 2023 in pointing out Akufo-Addo's faults and Bawumia's faults, said that Kufuor is far better than all of you. President Mahama lost elections in 2016. President Mahama won elections in 2024. So until and unless we understand, like it is in many developed societies, that we have to delineate what we can discuss and what Parliament must agree on. So we know that the salary of a president is agreed on by a commission that is set up every now and then through the parliamentary process. So nobody complains about salary of a president. Whatever other things that are done, whether the president can carry his own chair, whether chief executives can carry their own chair, whether the president's motorcade must have 3 cars, 2 cars, 7 cars, 8 cars, those things should be delineated so that the political class can be left with policy. What is TVET? Why did you bring TVET? It's a bad policy, so we can discuss policy and leave out, oh, people are suffering and we are on the taxpayers, you're on the taxpayers' neck, and one politician points to them. You see, whilst you are suffering, he is traveling to Britain with the president in business class. Whilst you are suffering, he is doing that. Whilst you are suffering, President Mahama came and announced the policy of his ministers should not travel in first class. Should that be a political question for the president? No. It should be a delineated matter in Parliament. So you know a rank from chief director travels this way, deputy minister travels this way, and every deputy minister, whether regime A or regime B. Until and unless we get there, our politics will be, you chook me, I chook you. That's, as they say, dog bites dog. That's where we are. And if we continue that, it is we, myself, Kwadwo, and others who have failed the generation that he's complaining about. Because it is time for us to stop the politics of dog eats dog, and let's understand that let's get into policy. Akufo-Addo has rolled out, according to him, X number of policies. Let us discuss it. Mr. Akufo-Addo, your free SHS, these are the issues with it. But if we say that, oh, Mr. Akufo-Addo, you traveled with this plane and you went here, and then it was a decision by the Air Force because some plane is not working. Another president comes, the situation arises, and then we are all over the place because we don't have a line item that is explaining how the president should behave. And that brings me to the Shatawale issue. It is important for us to I was reading this book the other day, and I was reading about the 1874 prime minister, and somebody said, the writer said that a politician's fortune changed because the Tories came back to power and they arrested him, blah, blah, blah. This was in 1874. So I noticed that this was happening in England. It is important for us to reduce discretion of state actors and the public office holders. We have done some. The 1992 Constitution brought about when people are arrested, you have to, within 48 hours, charge them. That was a very important delineation of how discretion can be applied. Now we are all talking about and seeing all kinds of articles about bail. There has to be a clear delineation. Could you sit here and he's on bail in Iyoko? Is that not ridiculous? There has to be a clear way in which we understand and delineate the bail so that the person who has the discretion of the state authority to institute the bail is working within limits. Currently, the police work within the limits of the 1992 Constitution. Can we imagine, before the 1992 Constitution came, when there was no delineation of how long you can hold somebody before you charge them, what was happening in our criminal justice system? These are the important things that this generation of politicians must look at. How do politicians behave? How should they behave? If you read Lee Kuan Yew, he was paying politicians a lot of money for achieving results. That's a model that worked. People of Singapore, the opposition in Singapore, could have risen up and said that Lee Kuan Yew is paying $1 million to a minister. But Lee Kuan Yew said that, look, let me get the best and the most attractive people for Singapore to be able to move the country forward. What moves the country forward is not rhetoric. What moves the country forward is cogent thinking that brings out policy. That's what moves Singapore forward. That's what moves America forward. That's what moves Britain forward. It's not the propaganda and the policy. That's okay. We can all do that. That's fine. But what really moves the country forward is the policy thinking. That's very important. So we say that in 1957, we say that we are going to take independence to show that, after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs. Beautiful propaganda rings through our ears, inspires all of us. 68 years later, were we able to put the policies in to achieve that purpose? Singapore was able to do it. In the late 80s, the East Asian Tigers were able to do it. So it is important for this generation of very clever politicians to begin to delineate things in our system and say that this one will be done this way, this will be done that way. Then we leave the playing field of policy for discussion. and to be able to poke, MPP can poke NDC, NDC can poke MPP on policy. What are you going to achieve? This is your policy. How many people is it going to solve? How many people are taking up the streets? So we can have a real debate about our society. If we don't do that, and we keep doing these things that we've been doing since 1998 and 2008 and all of that, then we are going to have topsy-turvy. What you said you won't do, you will come to office, you will do it. Because it is like that. And the videos are there. These days, I'm going to film your convoy. And your convoy will be 30 cars. His convoy, somebody will say, oh, that day, the video said, Akufo-Addo's convoy was 28. This one is 31. I mean, so my concern is that what we need to do at this generation is to delineate certain things critically, to reduce the amount of propaganda we can do with politics, so that the discussion is brought within the context of policy thinking. How do we treat our doctors? How do we treat our nurses? I saw a Facebook post by one Edu over the Rich Hospital who said that but a company like Rich Hospital, they don't have protocols for how these things are handled. We don't write these things down and say that these are the protocols for how these things are handled. When somebody comes in, this is what happens, this is what happens. If the nurses and the doctors have those protocols, it will be well established, well published for people to understand, so that very little is left to the unpredictable spectrum. Right. Very little is left to discretion, especially by those who act for the state. They have to have very little discretion. And then we leave the rest as a political question that we can discuss. It's very, very important.
Okay. I listened to you carefully, and you were talking about rhetoric. Rhetoric. Yeah. There has never been a government in this country that has employed the use of rhetorics more than the Akufo-Addo government.
Okay.
You spoke about STEM. You know what STEM is?
Yeah.
Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Before Akufo-Addo came, nobody had done science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
No, not as STEM, but you did science.
No, I'm saying that it is the rhetoric that I'm talking about. No, remember planting for food and jobs?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Planting for food and jobs was a Canadian initiative that President Mahama left before he left office in 2017. When the Akufo-Addo government came, they renamed it. Today, have we planted anything?
What was the name JM gave to it?
Paul, we didn't need to give it a name. That is the rhetoric I'm talking about. We didn't need to give it.
There.
It was there. It was a Canadian. It was a Canadian initiative to improve the agricultural sector. As soon as the MPP came, they gave it a name and started using it for propaganda purposes. Today, did we even plant a finger of banana? Where's the money? TVET. Samuel Kujeto was in charge of TVET when he was Deputy Minister of Education. And yet, we are being told...
No, free TVET. Not that there was no TVET. TVET is Rollins. That is very old.
Paul, government exists in a continuum.
Absolutely.
Right? That is the reason why when you talk about rhetoric, point it in the right direction.
No, boss, I'm not saying MPP or NDC does rhetoric.
Hold on. You spoke because I'm trying to highlight your communication was headed in a certain direction.
Yes.
That
propaganda.
No, it wasn't propaganda. You were targeting the NDC administration.
Oh, no, I wasn't.
No, hold on. It was subtle, very subtle.
Oh, I wasn't.
I have known you for a very long time.
No, I wasn't at all.
It was a subtle jab.
Okay.
That
there's too much rhetoric.
Yes, rhetoric. And I'm saying that the rhetoric
was more
that greeted us under the Akufo-Addo regime was bewildering. They took our savings and called it DDEP. In the history of this country, when has a finance minister gone and accrued debt, and they came back and told us that they were taking our savings to pay for the debt?
I think that was very unfortunate, Kwadwo. I think that was terrible.
No, hold on.
But also in the history of this country. Okay, finish. You finish.
You see?
You finish.
When you say that was terrible,
it was very bad.
It was beyond terrible.
Yeah, it was beyond terrible, yes. But
because people, Paul, the life expectancy of a Ghanaian man is 65 years. The life expectancy of a Ghanaian woman is 67 years. So a teacher who has retired and is hoping to use her pension to maybe start a container shop, a policeman who has retired trying to do same, maybe start some transport business, right? A fireman who has retired was told that Kenoforieta has gone and gambled with your pension, so you can come and collect it when you are in your 80s. Loosely translated, it means go and die, because not many of them will get there. Given that even at those ages, itinerant illnesses like hypertension, most people by that age are hypertensive. They have no money to go and buy their drugs. Once again, let me repeat for emphasis. They took our savings and gave it to a name, DDP. Right? We got to a point where the president of this republic came and told us that there will be no haircuts. 2 weeks later, the haircuts came. 2 weeks later, after President, hold on, okay. After Kwadwo came out and told us that there will be no haircuts, the haircuts were applied. You know why he did that? He was asked to do that so that there won't be a run on the banks. When a former Chief Justice takes her chair and goes to sit at the finance ministry and asks for her pension, you should know that assembly is critical. Many of us, and if you know anything about economics, many of us recognize saving in government bonds as safe. Safe. Because in fact, it is called risk-free investing. And all of a sudden, you are told by the finance minister that when you are going to invest, read the small print. Right? That's what Amin Adam told us from London. So, you see, when we talk about, rhetoric, policy, propaganda, this, that, and we should delineate what this person can do and what that person cannot do.
What politicians can do.
How can you delineate when a president puts a chair in an SUV and travels with it behind him? Is that policy? Is that policy? And then when people get upset, you are saying, oh, no, let's not do that, let's not do this, let's not do that. Let me assure you, and I say it categorically here and now, President Mahama is not traveling with the kinds of convoys that Kwadwo travels.
Oh, there's a video.
There are videos of many things.
Video of President Mahama, if he was saying it.
There are videos of many things. And you see, Paul,
so the person was counting the cars.
The person was counting. Such mischief.
But that's what they're saying.
Paul,
I like the word you use.
Paul,
that's the same mischief that was done. And that's why I say that let's agree on this table. How many cars did the president use? 5 or 6.
Paul,
then we agree.
Paul, you see?
Yes. It's mischief.
Paul,
and they all do it.
Paul, at a point in time in your life, you were a fixture in President Mahama's house. So you know him as well as I am.
But that's the point I'm coming
to. Please.
But that's the point. You're making a very good point.
Listen.
So it's not about the leader. It's about the system. That's the point I'm coming to.
It's not about the system.
It's about the system.
President Mahama will never allow anybody to put a chair in an SUV and follow him.
No, I'm not saying chair.
That's the leader.
The recent cars had 30.
President
and I can tell you that President Mahama may not have known. You see, it's important we do these things. You are now bringing me to the character of the personality. That's very interesting.
When you have a chair following you in an SUV, you know.
Yes, if you have I don't support a chair following an SUV. But if
when
you have 30
go
cars,
and sleep, hold on. When you go and sleep in the Prince Alexander suite in Claridge's Hotel for £22,000 a night, you know
Do other presidents sleep in Claridge's hotel?
Who? Tell me who did that.
Oh, should we talk about where our president sleep?
No.
We don't have to
who
do
did
that.
that?
No, we don't have to do that. We don't
We
have
are
to. These are the
talking-
things we
Paul,
shouldn't do.
Paul,
because you see, it's not
we
the
should-
president
you know,
that booked
Paul,
the hotel.
you know why, Paul?
It's the state apparatus
But
that
the
did.
president
It's
should
important.
Paul,
These are the things.
The president should be interested in how the taxpayers' money is spent. That is why we voted him into office.
Absolutely. But now let's come to the question of the DEP that you were raising, which is a very important question.
Please don't make any excuses for
No, I'm not making
Too
excuses.
many people are suffering.
I agree with you. I'm
And
suffering.
the person who instituted the DDEP, somebody came to sit on your show and said that you shouldn't come back to Ghana to face what we all faced.
You shouldn't come to Ghana. I don't understand what you're talking about. Who came on my show?
Oh, didn't Kofi Mental come on your show and say that?
Kofi Mental has not been on my show. Maybe you mean Newsfile.
Whatever it was.
Yes.
He said that if he were Ken Ofori-Atta, he won't come to Ghana.
That was a news file.
That was a news file. Sorry, I apologize.
Yes.
For those of us who didn't run away, who were terrorized from here to high heaven, you people got a video. I don't know how you got that video of me being arrested when I traveled and came back, and he played it.
I don't get your point.
Why isn't he here to answer the question?
He's been red alerted.
Red alerted for what?
Hasn't OSP
I'm saying
been
that
red alerted?
during Paul.
Ken is not here apparently because he's
recovering
recovering from some illness.
I like the word
He
you
was
use.
in
I like
surgery.
the word you use apparently.
No,
Paul,
apparently because I don't know the facts.
Paul.
I don't know the facts, but
Paul.
I know that he
Paul.
is due to come
You
to
don't
Ghana.
know
I
that.
don't
You don't know
the facts of the,
I am
of the
saying
sick
that,
hospital and all that. I
Paul,
don't know that.
I'm saying that. You see, you have spoken about many things, about policy, about this. I'm asking what are the questions I laid out.
So let me answer them.
Very, very, very succinctly.
Yeah, let me answer them. Which
Where
one?
that you can have any policy you want, but if you have people with no character, the policy doesn't get anywhere.
So let me answer that.
Let
me answer that. Hold on, let me answer that. You are an
During
engineer.
COVID,
You understand this better than me.
Paul, let me finish.
You have to do
Paul,
the policy such that
Paul,
there is no discretion,
Paul,
or you reduce the discretion.
Paul,
President Akufo-Addo,
Paul,
does he tell himself how much he should be paid?
Paul,
it is decided. It is
Paul,
predetermined.
Paul,
so he comes into office, he takes the president's salary.
Paul,
the salary you are taking now is predetermined
Paul,
before you
Paul,
got there.